Welcome to Type Tune Tint. I'm Tom Kranz.
I love my teacher. I love my teacher.
My guest for this episode is teacher and first-time author Sabine Posy. Her children's book, Nate and Harry Are Great Friends, was inspired by the real-life friendship between her son and a boy in his preschool class. Both Sabine and her children are veterans of virtual learning during the COVID-19 pandemic, and we'll talk about the lasting effects of that period as we review her book.
I love my teacher.
And I'm joined right now by Sabine Posy from her palatial estate in Union County, New Jersey, as I am in mine in Fanwood, New Jersey. Sabine, how you doing today?
Hi, how are you doing, Tom? Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, of course. Winter has finally arrived, right? It was like
Yes.
5 days ago it was 80 degrees, and today it's 32 when I woke up
32,
here
I know.
in New Jersey.
Crazy.
Yeah, so I met Sabine at the IABX Writers Expo, which was an exposition of mostly independent authors held at Kane University here in Union County, New Jersey at the end of September. And this was basically, imagine a huge hall with about 60 authors, all, kind of making their books available and talking to people interested in their books. And I stopped by because I was eyeballing Sabine's table from across where I was sitting. And I know that children's books, which is what we're going to talk about today, is a really, really popular genre, not only in general, but at these exhibitions, because anybody with especially little kids, there's a book that can talk to almost any subject that you're thinking about, right? Yeah. And Sabine, I'm just guessing, but you talk in this book, we're talking about Nate and Harry Are Great Friends, folks. This is Sabine's book that she was selling, children's book. And instead of me talking, why don't you first tell me what's the book about, and what's the book about? Let's start with that.
Well, the book was inspired by my 4-year-old son at that time. His name is Nathaniel. He's now 6, but at the time, and also I also want to mention that I have a daughter as well. I have my 8-year-old, and it was really inspired because my daughter, she's always been ever since she was a baby, a toddler, she was a social butterfly. She made friends easily. She had cousins around her age that she had play dates with. So, seeing her development socially, I just assumed that my son would also be, similar. And but it was the opposite for my son, my 4-year-old son. He really struggled socially. He was very clingy,
just shy, like just a shy kid, basically.
Yeah, extremely shy. And I just couldn't wait for him to start school. And I just thought, that would be a great opportunity for him to, play with his peers and kind of learn from other kids. Yeah, come out his shell a bit. When he first got to school, he developed a friendship. He made his first friend, and his name was Harry. Their friendship was very inspiring. It was very inspiring because, I guess because I was, as a mother, I did worry that, that the social development was going to be impacted, but it didn't. And, he made friends with Harry. They helped each other they encourage each other. They basically help each other develop social skills.
This was good for Nate because he made a friend and it helped him come out. And did you actually see a difference in him then, in his behavior?
As a teacher, just the pureness of their friendship, the pureness of their love, almost, it's like no matter where they were in the building, it was after dismissal, when they're going home, or during drop off, they would greet each other with the biggest heartwarming hug. And they would they were like really inseparable. They really were drawn to each other. And
don't you wish certain adults would act that way sometimes?
Exactly. And leave it to children to kind of teach us. There's so much bigger things.
Did you actually teach from home?
Yes, I taught
by Zoom, basically.
Yeah, by Zoom, virtually. I taught, and let me tell you, Teaching virtually, is one of the hardest for me. It's one of the hardest thing I've ever had to do. And just it was the hardest thing trying to get my son at the time. He started a 3-year-old program, a pre-K 3-year-old program, and they also had virtual learning. And it was the hardest thing trying to get a 3-year-old to sit still in front of this, the screen and
No, please.
engage and engage with other students his age. And my daughter, at that time was 5, and she was also doing virtual learning, and she's a kid that likes movement. She's a social butterfly. She likes to move around, all of that. And it was very hard trying to get them to sit in front of a screen.
All right. So, but the theme of the book, the book is really simple. Each page is
It's
basically
very simple. Yes,
shortened sentences. And by the way, who did the illustrations?
I do art as well.
You
And
did all these drawings?
yes, I did.
Wow, you rock.
Oh, thank you. Actually, those were my rush drawing, because honestly, the book was really a gift, because Harry was moving, and we wanted to capture that friendship in words and in pictures. And so I created the book. It was something that I didn't even it wasn't even in my my plans to even publish it, but it was just a little gift for Harry when he as he moved. And so I kind of rushed the pictures were done. I started writing this book like 11 o'clock at night, didn't finish it till like 2 o'clock in the morning. So
oh, you did it all in one. You did it all in one sitting.
I did it in one shot. I mean, the words, I kept on playing with the words for a couple of days.
Mhm.
But as far as the drawing, I don't really do stick figures, but I wanted to put use that sort of image to kind of make it simple. And so it came out good, I guess.
Yeah, you should be proud. I mean, I've interviewed a couple other children's book authors who also do the artwork. Was this your first book? The first time you ever tried doing a book?
Yeah, this was my first book, my first published book. But
you.
yeah, but I'm not new to writing though. I've always enjoyed writing. I consider myself a natural storyteller. I tell stories not just through words but also through art. And so this book was the first book where I actually went ahead and published it. But yeah, I'm not new to writing.
So you basically wrote this thing in one sitting, although you did play with the words later on. Does that mean, did you do the drawings and the writing simultaneously, or did you do one first, or how'd you do that?
The drawing came first. Yeah, it came first, and then followed by the words.
So you did all the drawings first and then did a story to match them?
Yeah, I had the words in my head. I was just playing around with how the words would, should it rhyme? In my head I had it, but as far as, the picture was the first thing that kind of.
Did you do any research on children's books on how to do them and how to format them or anything like that? Or you just basically went from the gut?
I just went for it.
Good for you. That means you didn't spend $1,000 on somebody else's knowledge that probably wouldn't have done you any good anyway.
Yeah.
Good for you. Yeah, this is great. I was really impressed. So the book, I guess you're selling the book, or is it on the usual places like Amazon and whatnot, or do you have a website, or where?
Yes, it's on Amazon. It's in Barnes and Noble. It's also in Ingram.
Right.
And also you could get it from the I've worked with the publisher.
That's Archway, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so they have it on a website. Do you have your own website?
Yes, I do. My website is sabineposy.com. Yeah,
Wow.
you can order the book from there as well. Yeah, it's pretty much anywhere books are sold.
Yeah, it's great. I like it because it's simple and it will hold the attention of even the squirmiest 3 or 4-year-old, I'm guessing.
Yes.
And hopefully their parents as well. It's always good to have parents read to their kids, More with Sabine Posy in just a minute. And I'm back with Sabine Posy, author and public school teacher here in my state of New Jersey. So, um, when I guess you kind of answered the next question, which I had, which is when did you find time to write this? You're a mom, you've got two young
Yeah.
kids, you got a full-time job, and if you're a public school teacher, that means the job doesn't end at 4 o'clock when class is over. I'm sure you
Mhm.
take work home with you, much to your chagrin. And how did you do that? Did you just, I mean, you said you did the book in one sitting, but you must have had ideas for it as you went
Yeah,
along.
I had ideas. Like I said, I had ideas. I was playing with the words for I think a couple of days. It's the pictures that came naturally. I mean, naturally, I'm an artist. I draw, and so it was that came first, and it really there as a teacher you really don't have time, busy mom. I don't, and when I work, my work is after my kids go to bed.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, that explains what you said before. You basically did this late at night, right?
Yeah, if that's when I do my work. Yeah, my writing is during late at night.
Wow.
And I wanted to do this because I really wanted to capture that friendship and capture that.
How do you do your drawings? Do you do them digitally, or do you actually do like a watercolor on a piece of paper, or how do you do them?
No, I just hand draw. I want to learn how to do digitally. That's something that I'm interested in. But yeah, I just basically just freestyle hand draw.
So these drawings were all actually on hard copies, like on paper, and
Yeah,
then you submitted them to the publisher, and they made
yeah,
them into pages essentially.
yeah. Actually, the book that I created as a present, had the pictures. Originally, it
Oh,
had pictures. Yeah.
okay. Is Nate still in touch with Harry? Are they
No,
communicating?
not at the moment.
You're a public school teacher. Tell us what grades you teach and what you teach.
Okay. I'm an ESL teacher. I teach grades 3 to 5. Um,
And
I
ESL stands for English as a Second Language.
Yes, ESL.
I learned for the first time in my 68 years of life that if you teach English as a second language, you don't necessarily have to know what the language of the native language of the kids is, correct? Tell me more about that. So what
Um,
is your specialty? So your kids are mostly what language do they speak?
well, in my district, we have our ESL department have different magnet program that targets different languages. Um, our biggest magnet program is the Spanish. We cater to the Spanish program, and we also have smaller minority programs like we have Polish program, we have the Haitian Creole program. So we have teachers that can accommodate students in those language, and I happen to be in the Haitian Creole program, and so I help accommodate students that transfer that need help with that language, but mostly I work with several other, students from all over, because it is an ESL program, and our instruction is in ESL, is in English. So
All right,
yeah.
so we're getting to the nut here because I always thought that if you're an ESL teacher, English as a second language, you have to be fluent in the native language of the kid. And you're basically telling me that that's completely myth.
No,
You
not
just
necessarily.
happen to speak Haitian Creole, which is essentially a variation of French, correct?
Yeah,
But you
French.
could
Yeah.
also teach kids who are Polish speakers and German speakers and Spanish speakers because the class is conducted primarily in English, right?
We are teaching them grammar, vocabulary, all in English. And another thing, that there's a misconception that communication is simply just language, verbal language. Communication is also nonverbal. Actually, it's the biggest. It's 95%
Sure.
part of communication. So in that aspect, I'm able to work with several different languages, and the students are able to follow along, and it's, I think it's, in my experience, I think it's best when we start with the English language.
If the kids are younger, do they think they pick it up more quickly, or does it get harder as they get older, or because those ages are kind of close together. Maybe it doesn't make that
Yeah.
much difference.
Kids, yeah, especially with younger kids, they naturally pick up language very easily. You know,
Hmm.
I have kids that could come in like today, and you know, if I've had experience with kids that come in like one day, and the next couple of weeks they are speaking English, and you know they are and being able to communicate, being able to
Wow.
do follow routine just like kids in the classroom. And sometimes a lot of these kids, it also depends on the child's personality. If you have a very outgoing and social kid, they will pick up the language very easily. And you know, we have uh incidents where kids sometimes fool teachers, think, you know, where teachers think they know more, but in actuality they don't, because social language is the first language that we learn. You know, I always use this example. Like, for example, imagine you go to France. You know, you have to eat, you have to follow the routine of the class. You know, you have to do normal daily things,
Right.
and you know, and you will pick up the language because you have to do these things.
I
And
get
that's
it.
how it is with ESL. You will pick up the social language. That's the first language to emerge.
You must feel really good about, about that when you see a kid who comes in and basically doesn't speak anything,
Yeah,
and a month later you're chit chatting, and he's learning, and that's like
exactly.
that's cool.
It is very cool. And another thing, you know, when you know you have kids that especially with the elementary level, kids pick up language very easily. And again, like I said, it's based on the personality.
Mm,
And you know, parents also have to be very mindful, because at that age they can easily lose their language as well.
mm.
As fast as they could pick it up, they will easily lose it.
So you
So
got to use it or lose it, just like
yeah,
the cliche
exactly.
says, right?
Exactly.
Wow. All right. Now let's talk a little bit about COVID. So, the schools were locked down, kids were home, this whole virtual learning thing started. And I guess the kind of the debrief of that at the end of once that was done and everybody kind of got back to normal, there seems to be a consensus that virtual learning was really not a great thing. That it in a lot of cases the kids kind of reverted back. They maybe took one or two steps back socially, and then they had to kind of start all over again in the classroom. Did you find that to be true?
My experience, like I said, because I was home and I had my kids were home as well. We were all under the same roof trying to do virtual learning. And you know, it was nice that we were able to um you know, we were able to connect with our colleagues. We were able to connect with the students. You saw in the screen, you have about 30 something students in your screen. And you know, my kids as well, they were able to connect virtually with peers. But even though we were able to see each other, there was a big disconnect. And the disconnect was the human connection.
Hmm.
And I think what COVID taught me is how we need each other more than we think we do.
Hmm.
And yeah, that was one of the biggest things I learned. You know, not you know, as a teacher, and also as a person, that yeah, we need that connection. We need that human connection. And
So
it's
by the human connection, we're talking about, I guess, what you mentioned before, nonverbal communication, being eye to eye with somebody actually 12 inches from you instead of in a different school district or whatever. And do you think that that's more pronounced in kids than in adults? That deficit?
that deficit, yes, because kids need that social component to develop. That's just naturally they need that. And this is why we're seeing so you know, some issues because of that disruption. Children need friends. They need to connect with peers and see how other students handle things. They need to understand different perspective. They need to learn how to share. And the way we do that is by connecting with other people. And so yeah, that's a big component in children development.
Are you seeing effects even today, a year and a half, 2 years after the pandemic is over? Do you still see
Yeah,
kids
you
are still
see
kind
some
of catching
effect.
up, I guess?
Yeah, there's a lot of catching up to do. You do see effect, kids, the social development is it's for certain kids it lags behind. There are kids that they don't know how to control their emotions. They don't know
Mm.
how to manage, even as, small kids, something as simple as sharing. That is something that's very hard for them to learn because there was that disruption for almost a year.
I'm trying to visualize as a teacher, waking up at, opening up your laptop at 8 o'clock in the morning and being confronted by a screen full of 30 little faces, all this big, who are
Yeah.
in various states of waking up and maybe not waking up. And you did that like 5 days a week, basically.
Yeah, I did that 5 days a week.
Yikes. I
And
don't know. That's like, I mean, sometimes when I, in my past life, when I was on Zoom meetings, if I've got three people on a Zoom call, it's like, I can't wait for this to be over, So that must have been really something, huh?
yeah, it was really something. And and to add to it, mommy duty, in
Mm.
between and in between my students working, I have to go because my kids all had different schedules during virtual. And I had to go do snack. I had to go it was a lot. It was, it was hectic. And what I mostly remember about it though, it was isolating. I
Mm.
saw kids, I saw teachers, it was very isolating and depressing a bit.
How did you guys, so did both of your, while you were doing virtual as a teacher,
Mhm.
both of your kids, or maybe just the older one, they were doing virtual learning as well?
Yeah, they were
And
doing
so
virtual.
what, you did that on two different computers in two
Yeah,
different rooms or something?
yeah, we did it in two different rooms, and I had so many people that helped me, that was there with my kids, but it was very difficult because you had your kids in the other room, and you worried about what they're doing, because I know they were little, their attention span was very short.
Mm.
And I've experienced it with my own classroom. The kids, their attention span was very short as well. So it was a difficult time for a lot of teachers. Yeah.
All right. Well, it's over, but I guess what I'm hearing is, and I've heard this from others too, that there's still this whole catching up thing is still going on. It doesn't happen
Yeah, a lot of
overnight, but
learning loss took place.
and so what is your next book going to be?
I want to focus on something that's very important, something that could teach children how important and wonderful this all of this is, our great universe, something in that area I want to do.
Yeah,
And
we need that, and they're
yeah,
going to need it going forward because watching the news. I was in the news business for 30 years,
wow,
and I've been a news but junkie ever since I was a kid. But I'm having trouble the last month or so watching the news because it's all horrible.
it is all horrible.
It's
It's not.
all horrible. It's not just here. It's around the world. It's just, I mean, I don't want to get into it, but
Yeah,
all I can say is that this is a good time to present positive stories and positive
exactly.
mentorship and role models to kids. Anyway, so Sabine, I appreciate you joining me once again, folks. Sabine Posy, Posy, Nate and Harry are great friends. This book is available in a number of places. I'm going to put all the links to all those stores in the show information for this. And Sabine, I wish you nothing but the best, and God bless you for doing, the hard work of being a teacher
Yeah.
in the 21st century.
Thank you so much, Tom. I appreciate it.
3, 2, 1. Class dismissed.